So what do
John,
astronauts? Hey,
we haven't started yet. You have to stay quiet for like 2 more seconds.
yeah, but it's taking a long time, so I was going to tell them
There,
about dad
shush.
joke.
Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, John, now you may bless us with your dad joke.
So what is an astronaut's favorite meal? Lunch.
Oh. Ugh. All right, folks, that's the end of the stream. Thank you for joining.
You never have
That's
to
it. I'm
come.
out.
We're kicking John out. It's just going to be Jenna and I from now on.
Yeah. Although, Samantha, you're on thin ice too.
I know. It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. All right, welcome everybody to the Moon at Noon. We are on our third last session today. We only have 2 more after this, which is hard to believe. This is the second last one where we're going to talk about targets, and we're prepping for the solar eclipse, which is happening for Eastern and Northern Canada in a week, exactly a week, slightly less because it happens at sunrise. So we are going to talk about some targets, and we're going to talk about solar observing, answer your questions about solar observing, debate what kind of vampires would be allowed to be out in the sun in the case of a solar eclipse, or rather out in the daytime when the eclipse is. Anyway, we're talking about the important stuff, clearly.
But first, who are you?
Yeah, Jenna.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I'm Jenna. And I am the outreach person at National RASC, my actual title instead of just some random thing. Samantha, go ahead.
I'm Samantha. I am Jenna's work with Jenna. I'm the outreach assistant, but I don't know how much longer she wants to keep me around after.
Little incident today.
Incident.
Yeah. And I'm John Reed. I write books about space.
You just have one published. I have one too somewhere. I want to be part of the club.
Okay.
You just had a new one published. So it's not this one that Samantha and I are holding up. It is
Things to know about the International Space Station, which I wrote sometime last year. And I just got them in the mail today, which means they should be in bookstores very soon.
And
nice.
Somebody just dropped in the chat is like, will we be able to find these on the RAS store? I think we're only linking to Amazon for these ones in particular.
Generally speaking,
Yeah, I think
we
you have a workbook,
limited staff. Yeah, we have the workbook because it fit with our launch before, and because John gave us a discount on it to resell, or for our audience, I believe. And so we are not doing that anymore, just because we are trying to move our office as remote as possible. And every time that anyone buys something from the store, not saying that you shouldn't, but every time that someone does, we do ship it from the office. So someone has to go in and package it up for you, which as much as possible, we're trying to outsource that kind of shipping, because for safety reasons, et cetera, et cetera.
So unfortunately, you got to give Bezos more money, but John gets the money as well.
John gets it. John gets more.
They offer Amazon they treat their authors really, really well, I gotta say. So anyway,
Okay.
We got a lot of stuff to cover today.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
So let's dive into eclipse stuff.
No, let's dive into targets first, because the targets we only have like 5 targets, and so we're going to get through them really quickly, and then we're going to jump into how to observe this eclipse that's coming up if you're in the right spot. Look, it's us from a few seconds ago. So all right, we are observing again in the morning, unfortunately. Sorry, everybody, it was the way the timing worked out. The days that we're covering are Q day 5 and Q day 6, which are the far, when we're looking at it, left-hand side of the moon. I believe that's the western side of the moon. Correct me, John, if I am wrong.
You are correct.
Yay. Okay. So I should know this by now.
Never eat shredded wheat.
Yep. And we're looking at it as a map, and that's the case. Yeah. You'd think that 2 months into this program, I'd have that sorted by now, but here we are anyway. So it's all the targets on the far western side of the moon. There are only a few because we don't have that much to see over there. This is the first day. This is Q day 5 and this is Q day 6. You should be able to see almost all of these targets on May 7th, I believe, was the day that we decided was the best observing day. That's not true. That's this day, May 7th in the morning. So you should be able to see most. There's one that you won't be able to see because it's a little bit too late in the cycle to see it. But
And
we
this is
will
like
go-
5 a.m. because sunrise is pretty early.
yeah, so this is super early in the morning. So sorry,
Yeah.
everybody.
So you,
Alternative
I mean,
is
you
late.
can catch these targets on the other way around,
It
but
could be very late at night for some people.
it could
Yes.
be. Yeah.
Do you actually tell us in the chat? Are you the type to stay up late, or are you the type to get up early for these kinds of things? So we
Sleep
have,
all the time.
yes, I feel you. So we have 3 craters and 1 sinus, and then an optional target, which is the Luna 9 landing spot. The Luna 9 landing spot is easy to see when you're looking for the 2 other craters around there. So let's start with the easier ones and move on to the harder ones. So the easier ones are Luna 9 and these 2 craters. And that is what we can look at on, let me make sure I have this right. Nope, that's the wrong window. There it is. On this day, which is May 7th in the morning.
Yep.
Double checking. Yeah. Sorry, June 7th. My apologies, everybody. We are in June, not May. Time is marching on. So we have these 2 craters here, which are Grimaldi and Hevelius. And they are like the last craters that you will see on this side of the moon before it becomes a new moon, or before it becomes a full moon, if you are observing in 2 weeks, and directly south of Oceanus Procellarum.
Yeah.
Grimaldi's dark. It's like super dark.
Looks like a swimming pool.
Yeah. So these are the last explore the moon targets that are visible, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are other craters out there.
Technically, yes. But these
The
are the last
important ones are in
These are
Explore the
the
Moon.
only
for this
important
program.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cavalarius is not on the list, but I think it looks cool. So, if you want to draw it.
Put it
Also,
in your sketch.
put it in your sketch. Also not on the list, but on John's list of why aren't these a target for this program is Reiner Gamma. So this is not one that you need to include in your observations. It is not part of the official program, but apparently it is cool. I've never seen it. John, would you like to mention why it is so cool?
This is super pretty. So these are patterns in the Lunar Maria. And so there's these all over the moon. This is by far the most, famous and probably most prominent. And I believe it's been a while, but I think these are caused by magnetic activity near the surface, changing the composition or sort of what's going on in that regolith there at the surface. So very cool features. You sort of need probably about 100 times magnification to really get a good look at it. But nonetheless, very cool.
Very cool.
They're called the swirls. Very technical. Very
quickly,
technical name.
Jenna, it's June 7th, right?
It's June 7th. It's not May 7th. I'm sorry.
sorry.
I'm sorry. That was 100% my fault. I'm going to stop sharing and make sure. Sorry, everybody. My brain is mush. And I apologize for my failures.
I just need to call you out. There's just a bunch of comments.
You are all right. It is June, not May. Time is linear.
I would like it to be May. Then I have more time before deadlines,
It's true. Yeah. So these are the biggest targets. June 7th, first thing, early, right before sunrise, if that's your style. And you can't really see, Sinus Roris is one of those targets that's better on a full moon or on a waxing day, when the moon's getting bigger, not when the moon's getting smaller. So in 2 weeks. So we'll talk about that one. And we should also mention for this one, there's Reiner Gamma there, but Luna 9 landed around here, just north of Cavalarius.
Yeah, so the Lunas were the Soviet lunar program, and so they sort of went around the same time as the Americans were doing their Ranger missions and their Surveyor missions and their Orbiter missions. And so Luna 9 was the first machine to land on the moon. So I think Luna 2 was the impactor. Luna 3 was a famous one that took the image of the far side. So we got our first look at the far side of the moon. And then Luna 9 was the first human vehicle to land on the moon. So cool. Very famous spot there. Hopefully we'll get to visit it someday. Someday, yeah.
So that is an optional target, not one that you need to do. And then our last target is not visible on this day. Unfortunately, it's around here somewhere. So we're going to switch to a different view, which is the view 2 weeks ago from the day that we were from June 7th. So this would have been, it's on here, I'm pretty sure.
And this is just
May
an
24th.
example. And this is an example of how like our Q days are pretty close, but they're not perfect every single time to predict when you're going to be able to see things.
And it's different based on waning and waxing too.
Yeah.
That makes quite a difference as well. So here are the 3 craters that we originally talked about. And there's Reiner Gamma, the swirls, and the Luna 9 would be around here. And the next target that we're looking for is Schickard. This is not Shillard, which is the long, weird, oblong one. This is Schickard, which John's defining feature, John had a defining feature for it.
He calls
so
it.
I call it the patchwork crater because it's sort of like a little, it's got that flat floor like a Maria, but it's different colors. So like if you look at one side, it's dark in the middle, it's white. On the right side, it's dark again. So I called it the patchwork crater. Like reminds me of a quilt.
Yeah, that's cool. And it is really identifiable from a distance.
Mhm.
You can really see those dark spots and the light spot in the middle.
Yep.
Cool. So we would recommend saving that and Sinus Roris, which is the last, the most northerly, let's say, dark northwesterly, the most northwesterly Maria / Basin Sea aquatic feature on the moon. So yes, Mare Frigoris is technically northerner than it, but this is the last one that you'll see as the moon gets bigger. So it's right over here on the edge, just north of Oceanus Procellarum and west of Mare Imbrium.
So does anyone know what Auroras is?
What is Auroras?
So sinus is bay, right?
Sinus, yeah.
Sinus.
Sinus, I don't know. Latin.
So what's Auroras?
Hold on, I want to check the chat.
Is it not named after someone? Nobody's popping in.
No, because it's like a sea. So Imbrium, like Mare Imbrium or Sinus Iridum, they're like Bay of Rainbows or Bay of,
Right, Bay of Feelings. Well, no, Seas of Feelings, Bays of other things.
Yeah.
What is Auroras? Just tell us, John. Tell us what Auroras is.
No, I don't know. I'm asking
Dave
the chat.
Chapman, help us out.
Dave
We
Chapman,
need
what's
a-
Auroras?
This is why you're in the chat.
Either someone that's done Latin or Dave Chapman because he knows everything.
Anybody. We await your confirmation. If not, we'll go look it up. So those are our targets for this week. That's it. And then 3 days after our target observation on June 7th, we have June 10th, and June 10th is the eclipse, which is particularly exciting. It's the first one in our area, I believe, first solar eclipse in our area. Oh, Bay of Dew.
Bay of Dew.
That's nice. Thank you both to Dave Chapman and to Lisa for Googling that one. Bay of Dew.
Very nice.
And that's right. Big rainbows. That's very nice. Okay, eclipse things. I'm going to close most of our targets for this, for the moon, because we are now focusing on how to observe a new moon. Samantha.
Oh, no, we're not talking about this.
I'm gonna just lightly roast Samantha just a tiny bit here, because Samantha had a question, which we get all kinds of questions when talking about eclipses, but Samantha had a question which was, is it going to be a crescent moon or like a waning moon?
I was
on the
asking
day
if
of
we
the
could
eclipse?
observe. It would be if you're getting up early, you might as well observe stuff.
Observe stuff on the moon, right? However, Samantha, it's the moon that's blocking the sun. So sadly, you can technically see the moon, but you cannot observe any features on the moon because it is a new moon. The moon is directly between us and the sun. Sorry, Samantha. I had to couldn't let that slide.
Yeah, the way I interpreted the question first was like, during an eclipse, can you see the crescent moon? As if the crescent moon is over here during the eclipse.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
We're
not.
just gonna.
Breezing past that.
That would be cool. I'm sure there's some planet somewhere where you could do that, but it's not Earth.
I'm
It's
gonna
not Earth.
blame my I got my COVID vaccine. I'm still recovering. My brain's not working.
Okay. So that is a good baseline to start at, though. The eclipse, the solar eclipse, is when the moon passes between us and the sun. And it doesn't happen every lunar cycle because the moon's orbit is off the rest of the orbits of the planets just a little bit. So when the moon is between us and the sun at my fingertips and the sun's over here and the Earth's over here, it'll just go right above the sun and you won't be able to see it. I don't have anything small around. I do have a chocolate chip. Good enough. So if this is the sun and this is the moon and you are Earth, a solar eclipse happens when the moon goes along its orbit like this. And a new moon that is not a solar eclipse happens when the moon goes along its orbit like this and misses the sun entirely. So
It was a good demo.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm gonna eat this
Because
chocolate
you
chip.
can also do the annular total with that demo.
Oh shoot, I ate the chocolate chip. I'll get a new one. Yes, annular is when the moon is slightly closer to us. So the moon's orbit is oblong a little bit. And so it is kind of like an oval. And when it's further away from us, it is smaller relative to the sun when it's closer to us. So when it's closest to us, it blocks the sun entirely. But when it's further from us, it leaves a little ring of light around the moon, which is an annular eclipse.
And then Jenna eats the moon.
Num num num. Chocolate chips for lunch.
Dave Chapman came to my defense. Apparently, during polar solar eclipse, you can still see features on the moon sometimes.
Totally.
I mean, that still probably wasn't what I was thinking at the time. But thank you.
There is, and point to Linda too. Linda was saying that there is some earth shine. So sunlight comes to the earth, bounces off the earth, and goes back and hits the moon, even when it's between us and the sun. And so in a total solar eclipse, the sky is dark enough that you can see that light and then some features on the moon. So yes, good point.
But do not go pointing your telescope at the eclipse.
Don't do that.
Don't.
So we have a lot we can talk about on this for many reasons. We've been keeping an eye on this a lot lately. And
follow Instagrask on Instagram. Jenna has made lots and lots of videos explaining everything you need to know about the eclipse.
It's true. There's a lot. I haven't addressed the vampire issue yet, though.
No, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
I think we could talk quickly about safely viewing it.
Yeah, let's talk about safely viewing it. And I somehow managed to leave my solar observer anywhere but here. So viewing this eclipse is really complex. We are staying fairly safe on those quick social media posts by suggesting things like you always have to use a filter if you're going to view the sun and stuff like that. It's more complex than that, because technically, if you're like thinking about this critically for a second here, have you ever gone and seen the sunrise and looked directly at the sun and not suffered long-term damage? I have. So technically at sunrise, you can look at the sun even during an eclipse, technically. But it's really hard to figure out when you can stop looking at, when you have to stop looking at the eclipse.
So you're saying if the sun's like right on the horizon.
Right on the horizon.
Because there's an eclipse happening at the point of sunrise in this case.
Yes.
But so your brain won't tell you when it, like, as normally when the sun gets too high in the sky, your brain will like, oh no, brightness, look away. But with the eclipse, it won't tell you to look away. And there's still damaging light coming from the sun. Mm-hmm. Which I learned from Jenna's eclipse clips about the eclipse.
Hello.
And then can you bring up the map of who can see this eclipse, I guess is the question.
Yes.
Who of us is lucky enough to see any of it?
While I bring this up as well, I wanted to point out something that Linda mentioned too, which is Sudbury Center, Linda is from Sudbury Center, is live streaming this eclipse with timeanddate.com and NASA Goddard, and possibly more. So if you're looking for a stream, that's the stream to go to. They'll have a really good view. Mm-hmm. So this is an article from Sky and Tel, and we've gotten permission from the AAS as well to show all these images. Here is the map of the eclipse. Now, as I mentioned with the chocolate chip analogy, I guess I'll have another one, darn. This is an annular eclipse, and so it's not a total eclipse. You will see that ring of light around it. That path of annularity instead of the path of totality that would normally be with like a total eclipse goes through northern Ontario, up through northern Quebec and Nunavut, passes Greenland, and then goes across both not the magnetic North Pole, but the Earth North Pole, and then over into Russia, which dispels the myth that eclipses don't happen at the poles. They do happen at the poles as long as the poles are tilting in the right direction.
If no one's at the poles to see it, the eclipse really happened.
Did it really happen?
I think that maybe that's where it came from.
It's very possible. Included in this map is sunrise and sunset. So this is where as the sun is moving around the earth, the moon is moving in front of the sun. The moon moving in front of the sun causes this path, and the sun's regular reach in the sky causes the eclipse to either be at sunrise or at sunset for you. This is the area where anyone can see a partial eclipse. So that is any part of the moon covering any part of the sun. And so we can see that in large chunks of Canada. And so pretty much not any of the big cities out west, unfortunately.
BC.
Sorry, BC.
Ontario still got most of it.
So-
got most of it.
So it looks like we're at 80% for most of us, or is that what it looks like?
I think 80 or a little bit more, actually. We get a really good view because 80% is this line. So we're a little bit, yeah, you're outside of 80%, but Toronto is inside of 80%.
Apparently, yeah, Waterloo. Somebody told me Waterloo has a decent view of the partial.
I mean, it would have the same view as Toronto pretty much.
Oh, well.
To get a good view, you have to go up to like just north of Thunder Bay.
But don't travel because COVID.
Don't travel. Yeah.
And it's not going to be that crazy amazing for a traveling time. Wait, save your money, save your traveling plans for a couple of years from now.
Yeah. But we should all still get a pretty good view. And one of the big bonuses of having it at sunrise is that you get really cool photos with stuff in the foreground. So if you're in Toronto, for example, going to that beach that's near Humber River, like out west of Toronto or in Hamilton or anywhere around there, you might be able to get the sun in line with the CN Tower, which would be very cool. On that note, so here's one annular eclipse that happened at sunrise. So you get to see that view of other stuff in the frame, which is kind of nice for size comparisons. I'll go say Pangnirtung, that's nice. This is what you will see in most places. So this is a little show of what happens when you create dots or like point sources of light. You'll see a crescent shape.
Are they using their fingers in that photo?
Yes, they're just going like this.
That's so cool.
So you can do that. You can just do this and you'll suddenly have a shadow that you can use to observe the eclipse.
The last total eclipse, I was just telling Jenna and John that I forgot about it until the day of, and I grabbed an Amazon box and like stabbed a couple holes in it and with like tinfoil and stuff. And I ended up viewing the eclipse that way last minute because I didn't have a solar viewer.
Also an option for people who aren't psychotic, or I'm not saying you're psychotic, but the stabbing of the knife made me really think.
I don't think, maybe it was a pen. I don't remember. It was 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
For those of you who don't want to stab things with a knife, you can also use a colander because they have holes in them anyway. So that's very helpful too.
Yeah. So it's basically just a pinhole, any type of pinhole camera.
Yeah, works just fine. So here's a couple different views in a couple different places. There's Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay is a little outside of the eclipse path in terms of it's happening before sunrise.
Linda said that Sudbury is getting about 90% at the max.
Hey, that's pretty good. So those are sort of the details of your general path and all that sort of stuff for the eclipse. There is one cool thing that I wanted to show you all in terms of things that happen at eclipses or that people have talked about. This will probably not happen at this eclipse. It's very rare that it happens for annular eclipses, but it might happen or it should happen on total solar eclipses. This is shadow snakes, which I'm not sure how common that term is, but if you look carefully on the ground here, you'll see these rippling shadows on the ground. Person's not got the steadiest hand, but you should be able to see this kind of like shimmering. And it looks like the ground's
there it goes.
Yeah, it looks really creepy.
It kind of looks like a shimmering star, like outwards, like if you had an animation.
Yeah. And then, as you'll see in the video, the sun goes into totality, and this is a total eclipse. So this happens right before totality in a total eclipse. And the reason for it is really cool. If you're looking at stars, I'm going to stop sharing for now, but if you're looking at stars through our atmosphere anyway, stars not the sun, stars like Vega and stuff, they shimmer when you look at them. And that's because of the atmosphere shimmering, not the star shimmering. It's the air in the atmosphere shimmering. And when the sun has, little enough light, when it's got enough light blocked, that light from the sun also shimmers. And that's what you're seeing on the ground is these shimmering shadows cast by the sun acting like any other star, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think it's because it's acting more like a point source along that thin,
multiple point sources.
Portion. Yeah.
We have a question about, unless I'm cutting off a train of thought.
No, go for it. Let's do questions.
Wendy asked, how can they take a picture with their iPhone?
Okay, so John had a hack for this. I have a slightly more safe hack for this. if you're looking at sunrise anyway, I've taken photos of the sunrise with my phone where I can see the orb of the sun. So you should be able to, at sunrise for this eclipse, take that photo relatively well. The other option in terms of official recommendations is putting a solar filter, like one of those solar viewers, over your camera on the front and then zooming in. So we have
You're not going to get any foreground objects in the image if you're using the solar filter.
Yeah, it'll be too dark.
I've seen someone put non-prescription sunglasses over it. You just have to be careful. Like, you don't want to look at the sun to line up your shot, right?
Yeah, this
You're
has to be
just
your
looking at your screen. And then it's a lot of experimentation, really.
Be careful. That's our biggest thing. We just don't want anybody going blind.
Yeah.
So always look on the side of caution versus
You don't want to break your phone either. Like, but your phone, I'm pretty sure these have filters that protect the CCD from sunlight. But I don't know how good they are. Like, if you're holding it for 40 seconds.
And everybody has different phones. And I mean, phones cost as much as computers now. So
it's true. The other thing that we wanted to mention as well is if you're going to try to take a photo of the sun with a camera or a video camera or anything like that, the key here is anything that has a viewfinder, like a little thing that you put your eye up to. Don't use the viewfinder. Some cameras have a little tiny digital screen that projects an image in the viewfinder. Some cameras just take the light right through the camera and put it into your eyeball.
Yeah, and that's like using a telescope to look at the sun. Big no-no.
Big no-no, don't do that. So if you're going to try with your camera, if you're not afraid that it might melt, which I don't know.
We're telling you we do not know, so don't blame us if you melt your camera.
Regardless of whether or not you melt your camera, you choose to do this, do not look through the viewfinder on your camera. Use a screen. And that's why phones are a little bit safer too on that front, because you have no viewfinder to look through. There's no way you can make that mistake. You have to use the screen itself.
And I guess now we have the question, do we have to bring garlic and crosses and wooden stakes out? Like, this is my real question.
So we
am I going to get a vampire boyfriend out of this? sorry to my real boyfriend.
Samantha's here with the real questions. So because vampires can't be out in the sun, correct?
Yes, but it depends what vampires you are talking about, right? Are we talking about the Twilight vampires who just go all sparkly? Are we talking about like Stefan and Damon from Vampire Diaries who wear a ring?
I thought the Twilight vampires melted.
No, they just sparkle.
Oh, that's
they look like a disco ball.
Oh. Okay.
But then
I'm so confused.
Then there's Buffy the Vampire Slayer vampires, which are like, they're real. They can't go out in the sun unless there's like one ring in the whole universe that can make sure like so many. Okay, so I grew up during the rise of Twilight, so I've read all of it.
This was, and I did, in all fairness, ask my own friends if on my Instagram page what we should answer in terms of eclipse questions, and that was one of them, was can vampires come out?
So it wasn't me coming up with this.
It wasn't just Samantha.
I have the answers. I guess it depends on what vampire universe you subscribe to.
It's true. And Dave points out that it's an annular eclipse, and so regardless, it is unhealthy for vampires because there's still light coming from the sun. If it was a total eclipse, it might be a different question.
Maybe someone can answer, though. You're talking about is the reflection of the sun off the moon. Does that hurt vampires? Do vampires go out on a full moon?
Yeah, like on a full moon when the sunlight is reflected off the moon back to Earth. Does that count? I don't know.
But then they might get chased by werewolves, right?
I was gonna say they're mortal enemy, right? And then they just stay away because of the werewolves.
I think so.
That's fair.
Or are werewolves and vampires friends?
Oh, these are all the important questions. And also Dave adds that he has never seen vampires at a total solar eclipse. So heads up that he knows of.
Dave, if anybody dies from vampire attack, it's your fault. Just say. We're gonna blame it on you.
Dave.
You are mixing up all your monsters.
Okay. Yeah, we are. We're having a hard time keeping things.
We do have a real question.
Yes, we do. I was gonna say.
Yes. What is Twilight?
No.
Because I honestly don't know.
I can get all my books. We're
not. We're not diving into Twilight, guys. The real question was, where is the best place in Toronto for this eclipse? And in Toronto, I would say probably somewhere along like the western shoreline, like the lakeshore on the western side, because it faces the most northeast of all of our shoreline, which means that's a good spot excuse me, a good spot to see the sun. Bear in mind, it's probably going to be busy. So just a heads up that.
And vampires don't like water.
Do they not? Are you just making stuff
No,
up?
they might. And yes, Linda, if you have a vampire werewolf encounter, I'm sure it'll be part of the
That's a
certificate.
bonus. That's
It's a bonus.
Observation. Yeah.
You don't have to get the pin, but like maybe it'd be exciting story to tell.
It's an optional target.
Optional target. Okay, it's officially 12:30 after that very silly conversation. If
you can always email us to ask more questions about vampires.
Email us to ask more questions, or also ask on Instagram. We have a post in our story right now for questions about the eclipse, and so you can ask there, and I'll answer it in a little while. So that's an option too. And we also already have videos up answering a lot of these questions too.
Yeah, and they're on all our social medias.
Yes. Let's get to sketching.
Okay. Are you throwing up a poll? Because
I forgot to throw up. Actually, I forgot to make the poll entirely.
We should first just clarify that all the vampire stuff was complete sarcasm.
Yes, it was all sarcasm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know the internet doesn't understand sarcasm, so we need to point that out.
Just in case. Our Instagram. That's a good point. Al says, "Can we sketch the new moon?" That would be very tricky. We could sketch our view from one of the cities.
We could sketch. We should sketch maybe Shickard because they won't actually see it this time. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a good one. So I forgot to throw up a poll. If you have a strong opinion about which crater we should sketch today of our targets, send it out in the chat. I accidentally just sent out our Instagram handle only to the panelists. So
it's Rask National.
Rask_national. So if you do want to ask us questions on there. Ooh, Al's suggesting the swirl, which is technically not one of our targets, but we
have a picture of it. I can find it.
I can take a screenshot and send it to you if you want.
I'm getting
That's
ready.
An option. What do you think? Anybody else have any suggestions in the chat?
I like the swirl.
Swirl.
There's one that nobody can like pretend they've seen now. Not that any of you are doing that. I trust you. Okay, I'll look it up.
I'll send you. I've got that screenshot. I'll send it right now. We will give the swirl a shot. This one's tricky because it's kind of like drawing a mare where there are no formal boundaries. Like it's not easy to find the lines around the edge of a crater.
This would be a one that you would almost want to start with a dark background and draw light,
like with or like erase bits, or start with a black piece of paper and use chalk or something like that, or pastels. Did you get the email?
Yes, I am just saving the image and pulling it all up. And I will say, if you
do I get an email? Do I get to sketch this time?
You want to sketch? I'll send you my iPad over in Nova Scotia. John, it looks like your telescope's evaporating.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, we were talking about this.
Like
the seeing in his office is terrible.
The seeing conditions in here are just quite bad.
Okay, I will ready to share.
It's probably because the light's off. I'm sitting here in the dark. Oh no, the light's on. It's just really bright outside. Okay.
Alrighty, so we're gonna give ourselves a few minutes here. I have a new piece of paper, and this is called, a reminder for everybody, this is called the Reiner Gamma. John, is that right?
Yes.
Reiner Gamma.
Is that good to see for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Alrighty, I'm going to be using that technique, I think, which was mentioned last time by someone whose name, unfortunately, I have forgotten, which is to shade in the background with my pencil first, and then erase as I go.
I'll use that same technique.
I feel like my only technique, and I do this because I paint with acrylics, is I just keep adding details until it looks good.
Yes. Yes.
And so goodness through complexity is sort of my strategy.
Everybody be like Bob Ross, just like go
happy
for
little craters.
Actually, that's how I started like getting into painting, was my friends and I just painted Bob Ross, and then I was like, I can actually paint something.
There you go. How do we sketch white? Question from Stephen Dow. That is the tricky thing. So you can do a couple of things. The one suggestion from one member was to, and that's what I've done, shade in the background first and then use an eraser to sketch the white. And then the other option is to sketch everything but the white, but my brain does not do well with that. So, and I think it's quite tricky. So I'm trying this shading in the background option first.
It's not fully white, so I kind of like this background option, and I'm just making it darker slightly where like the darkness is. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So I'm trying
very
that trick
technical.
where, and another thing I do when I paint is I try to make all my strokes go in the same direction
Oh, right.
as
Yeah.
as a style. So that's the one that I'm going to try here right now.
Okay, I'm just going to try to accomplish this task. So that means it's not going to maybe be the best. But none of us are professionals, and this is meant to be fun, everyone. And so if you'd like to sketch along with us, I haven't officially invited you to, please do. We would love guests.
Well, there's a standing invitation for everybody.
There's a standing invitation to sketch right alongside.
And if you need to draw a vampire, you can do that. Just
Yeah.
practice that in case you observe one during the eclipse.
This is a really cool object the more you look at it, John.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah.
This is super cool.
Now, an observing committee. Add this to the new updated one. In like 5 years
Well,
from
I
now.
think, like they say, I think it's in Isabel Williamson. So
Oh,
when you
okay.
graduate from Explore the Moon, there's a lot more observing programs for you to do.
If you haven't done Explore the Universe yet, we have all the YouTube online, but I'm sure most of you guys are here from.
I've seen some of that, yeah. And then we have, as John mentioned, and we do have, and I think we mentioned this last time as well, we do have Isabel Williamson, which is a much more advanced program, and it involves way more targets and quite a bit more expertise. And so it's a really good next step for when you're done with this program.
In your guys' opinion, what do you think is more challenging, this moon one or the Explore the Universe one?
I think Explore the Universe, personally.
It's more challenging from a logistical standpoint because you can hash out Explore the Moon. Like I did it in 9 nights.
If you're John and you're very good at
Yeah,
doing
because
it.
the moon, you can do it in a single lunar cycle, assuming your weather's good. But Explore the Universe, you have to deal with the seasonal variations. So you might have to wait 6 months to get your targets.
That's true.
Somebody finished it though, and within the time you did it.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
Lisa did. If Lisa's
The
still
reason,
here,
the
well
reason
done,
you
Lisa.
can is because you can. There's a couple things you can do. You can stay up really late, or you'll get up in the morning to see, a season or a season and a half ahead. Because over the course of the night or so, depending on the time of the year, the sun is only obscuring one season's worth of constellations.
Really?
So if it's March, for example, you can see a few of the autumn ones before sunrise, and then you can see, some more. And then as it gets later, you see the winter sky, then the spring sky, then the summer sky, and there's even a few autumn constellations again that you can see in the morning. So
A point from Lisa as well, which was that they were in full lockdown at the time that she was doing this observing. So very good point. That helps too.
So we have these online programs, but they've shown
Yeah.
that they've been fun enough to keep going.
Yeah. All right. I'm getting close to being kind of done. How about you guys?
Me too. I'm just shading in the background.
Okay. I'm finding that my eraser is too big for this. So if you have that issue.
There's a lot of little mini craters.
Oh, I'm not drawing the mini crater. Oh, you're drawing the mini craters. Good for you. Oh man.
I gave up. Please, guys or folks, send your drawings on.
Yeah. Oh shoot. We forgot to check the hashtags.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we should check them right now. Okay. I'm gonna finish this.
You keep sketching. I'll check the hashtags.
Yeah, we have to feature someone.
Sorry, we are dropping the ball on this, folks. We have some lovely posts. Ooh!
Tell me what is on, because then I can share it because I have all the apps on my.
Ooh, fair. I'm now currently looking at Lisa's post, Ruby Moonbeams. And I really like your notebook as well, but the sketch of Clavius is gorgeous. Well done. And then Dave Chapman posted, an observation from 1963. I'm going to hold this up to the screen for a minute, or Samantha, you can find them too.
Let me know when people
At the age of 10.
I'm pausing my share so you guys
Okay.
can all see it, but I can find it still. Oh, can you still see the screen?
Yeah, we can still see the screen.
Is it not a picture of me? It's a picture of the moon still, right?
It's still a picture of the moon. Yes.
Okay, good. I was like, you get to see wonderful pictures of me then, but was it on Instagram or where'd you find it?
Those are on Instagram. Oh, this I didn't do. Oh shoot, I missed a turn.
Yeah, I don't know
I'm
if my
done mine, by the way.
This was challenging. I don't think my strategy worked very well for this object.
What was your strategy?
Doing all the lines in the same direction.
Oh yeah, that was tricky, huh?
Yeah.
Lori Roche, if you want to send us a photo, or if any of you want to send us a photo, you can go send it to outreach+moon@rask.ca.
And let me know when you're ready to me to share the other stuff.
Let's share our drawings first. John and I can share our drawings, and then we'll share
Is that like
everyone else's
rush
artwork.
to finish it here?
I will show mine. Mine looks a little bit like a chicken, and I didn't even intend it to. So there's mine. And actually, the white did work fairly well when you're looking at it through a computer screen. That's not bad. I enjoyed that. My eraser, I'm using this as an eraser, and it is very large and not pointy. So I think that technique for me wouldn't work well on a crater because you need more detail. But for this like swirly bit, it worked really well. Has there been enough vamping, John? Can you show us your drawing now?
So I tried to use just widely spread lines for the white and then closer together lines for the dark. But
I see the style from your other
Yeah.
painting.
not happy with it.
The trick is I found with a lot of art, because I will do it late at night watching TV, and then I'll think it's terrible, but I just have to put it down and go to sleep and then look at it far away in the morning, and I'm really happy with it. So
That's true. Sometimes you just need some time.
okay, ready for us to share #RaskMoon@noon.
And I have you go for it because then I also have some submissions from Facebook too.
Okay, I can pull up Facebook too as well if we need
Okay.
to. So we have, wait, come on. You worked earlier. Oh, there we go. This is Dave Chapman's one from 1963,
Oh,
which
First drawing.
my mom was born, let me see, like 17 days later after this picture was
That's
drawn.
cool.
Oh, we did we show that picture of the annular eclipse?
We did, but I didn't want to get into it. We didn't have enough time.
And then this is the one, gorgeous notebook, but
I love the notebook. And also the drawing is really beautiful too. Like the shading and everything. Well done.
oh wow.
and I see 50 things to see on the moon in the background there.
Hey, there's John's book.
Shout out.
And then
And
I'm not sure if Gary's still here. Gary usually comes to these, but and this is a submission from a little bit later, but oh, sorry, you go ahead first.
sorry, more ruby moonbeams. Okay. Yeah, do you want to stop?
And then real quick, I'll just share Gary's photos, which have a really nice comparison of, and then like a layered labeling as well. So very nice photos, and they're really, really crisp, which is very cool. You can see all sorts of little tiny craters through here.
So keep sending us your creative submissions. They don't have to be pictures or sketches of the moon. As I said, you still have to weave in the ends like a horrible crocheter I am.
I started mine. I started to loom the moon, but I have since slowed way down. So I will show that next time in case I've got progress.
Or quilters, anybody into making a quilting patch out there? There
you go.
No. We're at our 15-minute mark for the first time ever. We are
ending on time.
What is this world?
Wild.
I have Lori's moon sketch too. Thank you.
Oh, perfect.
What in the moon?
What in the moon?
What in the moon? Now you have tons of times to prep for the vampire attacks and the.
It's true. Okay, we did get, so just a heads up, I've been slightly keeping an eye on YouTube, and we got our first dislike on a video.
Oh, no.
I think it might have been the vampires.
Probably.
So I apologize to anyone who was upset by that. None of that was accurate. You will not see vampires or werewolves, or
you're just having some fun. Yeah, no, none of them exist. Don't worry. But yes, be safe viewing the solar eclipse. Rask, I think we're at the point we're not sure if you order the viewers from Rask, they'll get there in time. But your local astronomy or telescope store might also have some in stock.
And I also just threw in a link to the YouTube version of this if anyone wants to watch it later. I just got a question about that in the private chat. And so thanks everybody for joining. Happy eclipse watching. Follow us on Instagram for more information about it. And we will talk to you all like a couple hours after the eclipse is over next week.